Hello everybody, I'm Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County, and just excited to bring you another one of our series or our interviews with some just great people that work for Montgomery County. And I just think it's important that we shine the light on the people that make our community, make our government work the way it works, and make it as good as it is. And so today it's an honor for me to sit and talk to Miss Jennifer Hood, our risk manager.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So a lot of people aren't going to know what risk management is, and we're going to get into that. But before we do, and y'all, I'm going to tell you, Jennifer's a little shy, so I'm going to pull some stuff out of her. So tell us about Jennifer.
Jennifer is a single mama, 2 kids. My son is 22. He's a nursing student at Austin Peay.
Awesome.
Yes, my daughter is 19. She's a sophomore at Nashville State. That tells you they're completely different children. I spend most of my free time being a mom or at church. That is pretty much my life.
Or are you from Clarksville, Montgomery County?
I'm a native Clarksvillian, born and raised, and I want to stay.
So I told everybody I'm going to have to get stuff out of her. So when did you come to work for the county?
In 2008. I started June 30th, 2008.
What did you do prior to that?
I worked for Cigna Government Services for about 1.5 years in Nashville.
So risk management is kind of insurance-y, for lack of a better words. It's got an insurance aspect to it. So is that kind of what led you into this position?
Absolutely not. So I'm one of those people that'll say, what made you come to Montgomery County government? And I'll tell you, I needed a job and I had no idea what I was hired for. But I liked government. I needed stability. And that's the only word that I ever heard about county was it's stable. It's a good place to go. So I applied here. I did have the government side at my previous job. So I knew the government scales and how all that worked. And I just wanted to stay in it.
Yeah. So stability, working for Montgomery County, if somebody was going to ask you about, hey, what do you think about a career in government? Is that one of the words you'd use to them, stability?
I think I would use stability. And as far as career in government, it is a career, but it's also family. We are a family.
Yeah.
And that's what I love.
And it's so many people have talked about family during these interviews that we've done. So what is a risk manager?
So a risk manager is the person you call when most likely you've done something wrong. You've had a car wreck or you've been involved in an accident, maybe not done something wrong, but there's been a situation that's negative. I handle all the insurance premiums. I handle all, like I said, the on-the-job injury program, lawsuits, property and casualty insurance, OSHA inspections, and safety in general. So anything safety related, that would be me.
And so like emergency plans for every office?
Emergency plans for every office. So we have to have separate emergency plans for every office in Montgomery County because they're all different. And that is something that's ever changing. Safety is one of those things where you make a plan and then you do a drill and you realize that plan's not good. Let's make another one. Because it just changes so much.
Well, I think one of the important things about a plan is without a plan and something happens, it can be total chaos. With a plan, and the plan may not be built around the exact circumstance, but it's a guideline and a basis, and that's really what y'all do. Y'all try to lay the foundation for, if there's a tornado, if there's an active shooter, if there's those type things that go on in county government.
Right. And that's what we do with emergency plans. Nobody's going to go, oh my goodness, there's an active shooter. What did Jennifer say on page 11?
Right.
But as we do the drills and we do the trainings and we do active shooter trainings, that becomes part of their culture. It's their mindset.
Yeah.
So they automatically don't have to think about what they're doing. They just do it.
Yeah. Jennifer is because and you said this, you talked about training and you talked about OSHA and you talked about insurance and you talked about, but it's probably the biggest part of your job as far as the casualty part, and I don't know if that's the right word, but OJI, and then if a county employee is involved in an accident,
catastrophic injury.
Yeah.
That is the hardest part of my job, because you not only have that employee that you have to make sure you're doing everything to get them well, you have to also take care of their family, because they're on the outskirts going, is Montgomery County gonna pay for this? What about my insurance? How is this gonna work? And then is my family member okay? So that's the hardest part for us, because we take it to heart. We go to the hospital with them. We visit them at the hospital. We get a nurse manager on them. We check on them and get them the best care they can, because to me, they're the most important part of it.
Yeah.
As our employees.
Yeah. And then lawsuits that are related. I know you deal with the county attorney a whole lot.
I do. I deal with the county attorney weekly, if not daily, on lawsuits. And those are hard, because you have I think the hardest part of that is the critics that are on the outside going, oh, Montgomery County was sued for this, but they're not on the inside to see why we were sued and that it's frivolous. So
Right.
we have to work very hard to pay for lawsuits that really are not true, but it's county money we're having to spend, and that's tough. But
Yeah.
working with the county attorney, he does a great job. So
He does.
he
And then so people will understand, we're not from a property standpoint. We are not self-insured. We're part of the local government insurance pool. We'll talk about that a little bit.
We are. We're part of the local government insurance pool, and we contribute to that pool. And it's a pool of I would guess I think it's around 52 different counties. We are the largest county in the pool. And what happens is when there's an accident or incident, our money pays for those situations. We have deductibles just like every other insurance company, but we have decision-making power in that, and they're able to go further and do more with our money.
Mm-hmm.
And county attorney is able to help with that. And it's just I think it's a good setup for us, because we do have more decision power than going with a normal agent that, we have to do A, B, and C. We have options.
Right. What's a typical day look like for you?
And I started, my first day of the job was May of 2010, and that day was the first day of the historic flood.
You are kidding me.
The second day, and when
I did not know that.
So when the former risk manager left, she patted me on the back. She said, "You got this. How bad could it get?" Well, that very next Monday was a historic flood. And the second day I rode down Riverside in a boat. And I think that should have been the tell-all of there is no typical days in risk management. We try to build our calendar. We try to say, okay, from this time to this time, I'm going to do an emergency plan. I'm going to make a policy. I'm going to work on an OSHA walkthrough. But the truth of it is, when that call comes in that you've got an injured employee, nothing else matters.
Right.
Everything else is pushed to the side, and they come first.
Yeah.
So typical days, we do try to, do OSHA walkthroughs. We do try to make safety plans. We do the active shooter training and that kind of stuff. But
it's probably always something every day.
It's always
with
something every day. Yes.
And insurance and all that.
It's something different that, like I said, when that phone rings or when you get that message, nothing else really matters.
I mean, every county employee's, you're kind of like HR. They're a customer of yours.
They are.
If something happens, you kind of take care of it.
We drop everything and we schedule those doctor's appointments, or we schedule those therapy appointments, or we call the wreckers, or whatever we need to do.
Right.
That's what matters.
Did you get aggravated at me during COVID?
No, sir. Honestly,
I'm just messing with
no.
you, Jennifer.
What? It was an honor to work with you during.
Well,
COVID.
it was an honor to
really
work
was.
with you, and that's I don't even like talking about it, but your role during that. If you talk about, you didn't think your first job or first day on the job or second day on the job would be riding in a boat down Riverside Drive, you probably didn't think that March of 2020 what it evolved into, and the way y'all had to pivot.
We did, no, I didn't. It's kind of one of those things. I think of COVID, I think of a Bible story, the plagues and the locusts and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, and then it happened to us. And the real problem with it was the unknown. None of us knew what we were doing. We didn't know how to handle it. We had to learn, but the good thing is we have a great team. We have people from the health department. We have people from EMS. We have all these connections that we were just one great team. I don't think anybody solely did it by themselves. I couldn't have done it without this one, and Couldn't have done it without you, and so it was a learning experience, but it taught us to be ready for anything.
I'm sure it was very personal for y'all too, because, you know, in my role, and I don't want it to sound this way, I would just see a number of people that, you know, and I'd see departments and stuff, but because of HIPAA and those type things, I wasn't seeing names, but you were individualized with almost every one of those people.
Yeah.
Had to be tough.
It was very tough because you've seen the names that, okay, well, you know, John Brown has COVID, but he's okay, he's at home, he has few symptoms. But then you see the ones where you have Sally is hospitalized, she's on a vent. And you not only have to worry about Sally and her family, but you have her coworkers that are family.
Yeah.
So it was very tough because we would go over, we would talk to the coworkers and try to cheer them up. And, you know, we did everything from candy parades to ice cream sundae bars, just to try to kind of lift them up. And, you know, we did lose a few employees, and it was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Yeah. And, you know, during that, Jennifer, because really, I don't think the world knew. And so as we're trying to stay open and we're trying to do things, we have all these policies that almost daily something changes, and trying to communicate that and help other elected officials, department heads decipher, you know, what's that policy saying. I mean, y'all were just like, just go, 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 go.
It was, and you know, you'd write a policy and you'd almost have to say, but don't hold on to it because it'll probably change tomorrow.
Yeah. Did that teach you anything?
It really taught me that you just have to be able to adapt to change and go with the flow, and you have to be ready for that change. And like I said, to have the connections that you could go to and say, oh goodness, now they're saying we have to do it this way. How should I put that out? You know, what should I say there? Because after a while, I felt like people were getting tired of getting emails from me. Another change. And you know, I could see the frustration of, well, it used to be you do this for 7 days, but now it's 5 days. And I just think it taught us to be adaptable.
Yeah. And you know, change is hard for people, for some people, but you know, it was, you know, you can come back to work, but you gotta be this, you gotta do that. And then there was the mandate, for lack of a better words, that we all felt like that every county employee was going to be mandated to be vaccinated because of the federal funds that we get, and just trying to deal with all of that. It just, even once the vaccine got here, and then they talked about the vaccine mandate, it just put a bunch of stress on us.
It did. I was truly fearful of being the most hated person in Montgomery County because I was putting that message out of, you've got to be vaccinated, or, you know, this, or you got to do this, test every weekly, you know, be out of your pocket, we think. But, you know, I really thought, oh, I'm going to get hate mail, I'm going to get through tomatoes at. But the truth of it is, thankfully, I have such good relationships with most people in the county that when they would call, they'd say, Jennifer, I understand this isn't you. It's a mandate that you're having to come out with. And I think if you build those relationships and just learn to respect people from day one, it made it easier. And it went really smooth.
Yeah, as smooth as it could, for sure.
As smooth as it could, yes, sir.
Yeah. What would you tell somebody that was thinking about moving to Montgomery County? Why should they move here?
You know, I kind of call us a little city with big everything. I mean, we're growing, our community is growing. We're getting, you know, our parks, we have beautiful parks. We're getting an event center that's going to host so many events that you and your family can attend and enjoy. And even as Montgomery County is a family workplace, I feel like Montgomery County in general is family. You know, if you need something, we're going to be there. We're going to answer the call, and we're there for each other. And, you know, we're 45 minutes from Nashville, so if there's something you want to do that's not here, it's just right down the road. But I find everything you need is either here or it's coming.
Yeah.
You know, infrastructure's coming, building, growing, companies are coming left to right. It's just a good place to live.
Well, what are some short-term challenges you see in risk management?
I don't know that there is a difference between a short term and a long term in risk management. We thought COVID was gonna be a short-term challenge.
Right.
And it turned out to really be a growing experience. But right now, I think the challenging things are the rising costs of healthcare, the lack of vehicle availability. So, if we have an officer that's hit and it totals their vehicle, what do we put them in? Because you can't get vehicles in right now. Can't get parts to fix the vehicles. And then safety is the issue of years ago we trained on stop, drop, and roll for a fire drill. Now we're having to teach you how to defend yourself in case of an active shooter. How do we keep our employees safe? What else can I add? What else can I do? That's a challenge for me because, like I said, at the end of the day, getting everybody home to their family, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Getting them home safe and sound. So that's the challenges to me, is just finding a way to do that.
Well, you talk about insurance. I think that is a huge challenge because of, the way the county supports employees, with the county paying a portion of the insurance. And as those costs continue to go up, and as we continue to grow as a county, we're gonna need more deputies, we're gonna need more paramedics, EMS people, and those costs are just going through the ceiling.
They are, people aren't gonna stop getting injured. Hopefully it eases up, but people are always gonna get hurt. Cars are always gonna be wrecked. They're not getting any nicer, unfortunately. So safety is a big issue, and we just have to learn to combat these things and try to cut them off at the beginning, the best we can. And I think Montgomery County's benefits, they're immeasurable. I mean, that's an awesome reason just to come here.
Yeah. What's been one of your most gratifying moments since you've been risk manager for Montgomery County?
Oh, other than riding in the boat now. Probably we had some catastrophic injuries, and we've had a deputy that was crushed from his waist down. And I think the most gratifying thing was to see him walk in my office 9 months later.
Wow.
When they said, you won't be able to walk, you won't be able to use those legs, you won't be able to, the muscles are gonna, and we did everything in our power to get him the best treatment, the best therapy. We walked through it with him, we helped the family, but just to see him walk in, and he's a deputy today, he kept going. That's what means the world to me. Yeah. It's just taking care of people.
And y'all were there every day of that journey too.
We were there every day of that journey. When the emotions were high, we were there. When they were low, we were there. And that's just what we do. That's, I said I was raised in church, and we learned to be a servant way before we learned to be a leader. I don't think you can be one without the other. So serving, that's my favorite thing. So to be able to help people get better, that just means everything.
God, I can't think of a better way to end this thing than that. That is just so awesome. And I just thank you for what you do. And I think it's important that somebody in your role has a servant heart.
Yes, sir.
I truly do, and I'm glad you do, and I'm glad Montgomery County's got you.
I'm
Thank
thankful,
you,
sir.
Jennifer.
I learned it from you.
No, you didn't. Thank
Yes,
you.
Sir.